Hi, my name is Sandy Sanchez, and today I'd like to talk to you about introducing infants and children to a library setting and, as a result, to early reading. So, I'd like to start off by talking about a common misconception, something that I'm guilty of being a part of. And typically, people who have no children are also guilty of being part of this misconception. And that is that many believe that taking babies who can talk, aren't paying attention, can barely hold their heads up to libraries to read and to play with instruments and partake in activities is a total waste of time, a waste of money, and just a stupid concept. I remember literally watching people laugh at parents who would discuss taking their kids to the library. And as a mom myself to a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old, I definitely don't see it this way anymore. I don't believe that that's actually the case. And as a matter of fact, I know it's not through my own personal experience and through much research. So I'd like to start off by talking about kind of saying why this misconception is false. So we're going to break apart the 3 points that people give for finding it silly that parents would take the time to take their newborns to the library or to even read to them when they can't even speak 2 words. So it's definitely not a waste of time. I'll get further into detail, but it creates a bonding experience between a parent and a child. It's providing opportunities for these kids later on in the long run. It's definitely going to benefit them in their education. It's definitely not a waste of money. On the contrary, it's very underfunded. Libraries are struggling to find the funds and to argue for extra funds to actually get programs and hire more people to work with children. And typically, these programs are free for parents. All you have to do is show up, and snacks are provided, and reading is provided, and fun and relaxation, and you get to interact with other families, other parents. I do want to acknowledge that, of course, this is something that stay-at-home parents benefit from the most because they have more time and because they're always looking for something to do with their children to pass the time, to not have them always cooped up and in the home. And in general, it's just not a dumb concept. Research show that you're actually stimulating these children, and in the long run, it's just developmentally better for them. There was a quote in one of my readings by Scholl that says that reading is one of the most important skills of language. It is a basic tool of education, whether formal or informal, and reading is a receptive skill, which involves the ability to meaningfully interpret and decode writing or graphic symbols, language. So basically, through reading, you're able to unfold a brand new world. You're gaining knowledge. You're empowering these little kids to witness and learn about the world around them. Obviously, it's a team effort. So it's not something that parents can just come and leave their kids and, hope and wish and expect that the librarian is just going to handle all of it. So it's definitely a teamwork between the parent, the librarian, and yes, even the teachers at school. Once these kids are in kindergarten, preschool, they're going to have their teachers also aiding them in reading and taking them to the school's own libraries. But obviously, as a parent, you also have to bring this back home with you and enforce what they're being taught outside of the home, because it's overall teamwork, but it's also adapting. It also takes adapting to the time, and it's one party can't be the only ones adapting. So with this, we move on to today's world of technology. Librarians are seeing an increased number of modern parents who are craving a more holistic and developmentally enriching library experience for themselves and their children, because it's not just the kids you're attending to. These kids are being brought by their parents, and therefore you have to have something for them to do as well. So fortunately for them, research does show that reading and taking them to the library is developmentally beneficial. It creates a firm footing for them to be able to pursue a brighter and just easier education. And research also shows that the ways in which an adult interacts with these children between birth and 5 years dramatically affects the brain, influences a child's intellectual, social, and emotional development. Again, this was written or said by Scholl in one of his articles. And adapting is going to consist of moving past just the traditional form of storytelling. We've all heard and we've all attended when we were little those circles where we would sit on the rug and the librarian would sit on her chair and she'd be reading a book. And we would all just be sitting there staring at her. She'd sometimes show us the pictures, or she'd hold it in a way where we'd be looking at the pictures. And let's be honest, the grand majority of the time we were just staring at the pictures. We were dozing off. We weren't really paying attention to the words. And this I found really interesting because in actuality there is no benefit to a child looking at a picture, to a child pointing at a shape, or looking at the colors. They actually have to be made to understand the words, to actually pay attention to what the book is saying. Otherwise, there is no benefit to it. So it is highly encouraged that librarians, and they are doing so in a lot of cases, create something more than just story time, whether it's interactive playing, workshops, music, even technology. Technology is a big thing today, where kids are literally looking at their phones 24/7. From the earliest age, they're already being played lullabies on the phone. My 2-year-old knows how to navigate and swipe and exit out and all that. So it's silly to want to take these kids to the library and X out technology. Therefore, librarians need to be able to integrate technology while still being able to aid the child in working with actual physical books and learning how to read, but also not Xing out technology. So it's definitely, again, a team effort, because you can't just expect the librarian to take over and then go and hand them the phone at home. Another huge misconception is that kids will learn it on their own, or that I can give them the phone now, but in the end, they'll be able to still read and still learn, which is not going to be the case. And some parents even just give up because of their social, economic, physical impairments, or something's going on that they believe, my kid doesn't need it, my kid's not going to learn it. In reality, libraries are for everyone, and any child, no matter what's going on in their lives, is supposed to be able to come into the libraries and feel welcomed, and there should be something for everyone to do. In the long run, and I say this a lot, but I mean, it's a process. It's not something that you go one day and your child's going to know how to read and they're going to be brilliant. In the long run, you're aiding these kids to develop social skills by letting them play with children their own age. You're also distressing by, being able to socialize with other parents and talking to them about their experience and what's going on with their kids, and just compare and contrast, which is not, something that parents typically want to do. It leads to fights. But it's something that's definitely needed. As a society, we also need to be able to look past laughing at people and actually taking the time to realize the benefits. Because again, there's a lot of misconceptions. Another huge misconception is that kids can only benefit educationally depending if their parents went to school, which is totally false. There was a study done where they actually disproved this by showing that even kids in rural areas or kids in urban areas where, their parents didn't go to school, their grandparents didn't go to school, odds are that they never graduated or just didn't attend because, they had to go out and work, or school was just not offered where they are. and they're thriving as long as these kids have books and they have the ability to read, and somebody's taking the time to actually aid them. And also, libraries need, in order to be able to help these kids, they themselves need funding. They'd be more able to provide these kids with everything that they need, which research shows they need and will be helpful, by actually providing them the funding. To be able to open these workshops, to be able to provide these activities, to be able to bring experts in that maybe parents want to talk to or that may be beneficial to these little kids further. And if this is all done, I think we'll see a greater appreciation for introducing infants and children to the library and their activities and everything that they have going on. But it definitely is baby steps, and we're definitely headed in the right direction. I feel personally that my child would not be where she is today, as in terms of speaking and being able to express herself and being able to play with other children, if it wasn't for the activities at our libraries. If it wasn't for me taking the time to sit down and read with her, my parents and my siblings also take the time to read with her. So it's definitely, like I keep stressing, a team effort. It's not just one person doing all the work, because it's not going to work that way. But there's definitely a good when it comes to taking kids to the library. It's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of money. It's only going to be beneficial for all parties involved. Thank you.